Like 6-ish months ago, I uploaded a video that was a kind of a break in direction for my channel. It was more of a game design examination rather than an actual development log. By and large, the reception to that, while positive, said, hey, let's get more devlogs. And as a compromise, it's been over 200 days since my last upload. But that's not to say that I haven't been doing anything with my time, and I've certainly been developing games. So the real question is, if you'll recall, immediately after my most recent video, Unity announced their pricing changes. You know, the whole controversy with it being like 2.20 cents per download, something like that. It was very, very stupid. And I thought, well, this is awful. It doesn't incentivize me to grow at all inside of Unity because that'll just mean I lose more and more money if I ever start making it in the first place. So I went looking for a solution. The smart and reasonable thing to do would have been to move into Godot, which is a C# based game engine that many people have used as an alternative and has gotten a lot better in recent years. I didn't make the smart decision and decided to try to make a point-and-click adventure in Python. Now, as you're probably aware, or maybe you aren't, Python is not used to make games. Now, some of you who develop with Python are probably thinking about the Pygame attachment, and that kind of sucks. It takes not at all a game platform into a kind of game platform. It's great for making games inside of Python, but if you're making a game, don't make it in Python. Games inside of Python are great for furthering your understanding of Python, but for making products, you would not make it inside of Python. Which is why, although it looks pretty cool because I took pre-rendered scenes that I made inside of Blender, made buttons on them, and put them inside of Python to navigate it, I stopped using it because the second I needed to have a dynamic inventory system, it kind of fell apart. Also, pre-rendered point-and-click adventures take a lot of rendering, and I am not a 3D artist. Coming up immediately after that, I took a good long look at Radius. You remember Radius, or those of you that were here were. So like 72 of you, roughly. Radius, being my mobile game, wasn't very fun. Yeah, the whole video didn't make much money, 62 cents, yeah, you get the idea. I'm going to make a better version of it. I'm going to make a version that's actually fun. And I did, and it's beautiful. I mean, look at this. There's lasers, it changes colors, it's fancy, there's a shop, but this time it functions. You can watch ads, and there are rewards for watching the ads. It's not a very small amount of gold, and it doesn't look like crap, which the other one kind of did. It's fun, it's actually challenging, it looks way better, and is overall a clear example of the progression of my development skills from the time that I made the first Radius to the time that I made this Radius. I was very proud of it. It took me about a month to do, which was start of November to start of December. All that was left was to publish it. So I go to the Google Play Store, and I can't, because it has the same name as my other app. I was like, well, that sucks, but I'll just take down the other app since it sucks anyway. Taking down the app isn't good enough, though, as it turns out. You need to remove them from every device that they're installed on, which is a larger process that I wasn't about to do. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'll give it a different name. We'll try a rebrand thing since this is one I'm actually proud of and want to put my logo on. So I did. I gave it a different name. And it gave me this really weird error of the package being signed with the wrong API key or whatever it is, a unique key to your developer that lets you upload projects and stuff so it knows it's you and it knows that it's a unique package. I don't understand much of it, but I wasn't done just yet. I've been thinking, you know what? I'd like to upload this to the App Store. The iPhone App Store, because I was proud of this, because it was a good project, and I'd like to have an app on the App Store. I use an iPhone, so I'd like to have one of my apps on my phone. So I Google that, and they say you need the Apple developer subscription to push apps to the App Store. I was like, okay, that's steep. It's expensive, but it's Apple. Everything's expensive with Apple, so I buy it. Turns out, part 2 of pushing an app to the App Store, which I didn't know about because I didn't see it clearly marked anywhere on the before you buy the $100 subscription, is that you need to build it using Xcode, a software that runs exclusively on a Mac, which I don't have. So this is where that project is for the time being, because I don't have a Mac, and I don't know how to run a virtual machine to run Xcode on my computer, and I don't know how to re-sign my app bundle for Android. So if any of you know how to do that, let me know in the comments below, because I would greatly appreciate that. But if you've been following along on your bingo card, which you'll find in the description of this video, you'll know that this gets us to mid-December. And what comes after mid-December? Christmas. And for Christmas, I got Balers Gate 3. For those of you that don't know, Balers Gate 3, it won like Game of the Year for every award last year, and it's amazing. It is an in-depth Dungeons and Dragons style game where you have a lot of freedom of choice, and it is so much fun. And for those of you wondering why this has been a, time-consuming thing for me, it's because I played as a human fighter, and then a tiefling rogue, and then a human monk. And I'm currently playing as a human paladin. I have spent 300 hours on it since December 26th. And the thing is that if you've played the game, you know that is a reasonable amount of time. You might be thinking, is his excuse for not having content this year really that he's been playing a video game? Yes. Yes, it is. But that doesn't mean I haven't been working. Like I was saying, that's the whole point of this. So what have I been doing this year when I'm not playing the best game ever made? I have had 2 large projects this year. One small, one substantially larger. So I'm going to tell you the small one first. Before I did any of this, before I knew Unity or C# or any real game making tools, I made games in Scratch. Scratch is horrible. It's one of those awful drag and drop block things which are okay for teaching the concepts of coding, but you will never learn how to create an actual product using that. Okay, the biggest part of learning to code is repetition and the reinforcement that comes from that. And Scratch does not teach you any of that. And I'm extra bitter about this because my introduction to game development and computer science class in high school used Scratch. And I knew at that time that it was not what I wanted to use, because at that time I'd already seen Bracky's videos about Unity and they looked super cool and I wanted to do that. But no, we used Scratch. I wound up with a handful of actually somewhat competent games, but competent games that are inside of Scratch, trapped there eternally. And I wanted to remaster them. Make them in Unity and release them to you to see what 16-year-old George considered a fun game. I have several of them done, including this simple minigame where you dodge acid, which actually looks really good and is kind of fun, and this cool platformer where you draw yourself your own path. And the reason that I haven't finished that is because I sidetracked into what I am currently working on and what you will be getting a video on very sort of shortly. And that is a turn-based RTS game called Hard Deck that I am not going to reveal many of the secrets here because you'll have to subscribe if you want those. I have donated, I'd say 80% of the remaining work time that I have spent onto this game, and it is coming along very nicely. If you want a rough image in your head, think kind of a marriage of XCOM and Inscription. It's 2 of my favorite games, and they're coming together exactly as I planned they would, and it's very cool. So I will give you a video on it shortly, but just bear with me, please. We're talking a couple weeks, maybe less, until you get this video. So subscribe if you want that, because it's going to be so cool. But anyway, I'm alive, and I'm still making games, and I will give you a video soon. Balers Gate 3 is amazing.